President Trump is pushing for a payroll tax cut and liability protections for businesses as he and his team of economic advisors continue to negotiate with Congress over the next stimulus package. I want to bring in economist Stephen Moore to talk about the latest stimulus bill. Hi, Steve. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to be with you again.
In recent days, the president has really been pushing hard for a payroll tax cut. This is what you and Art Laffer have been advocating for since the first stimulus package. What does a payroll tax cut mean for the everyday American?
Well, we would like to see, and I think the president is in general agreement with this, is you really want to find a stimulus for the economy to get people back on the job and to give workers a nice bonus, is to eliminate the payroll tax just for the rest of the year, to give a little extra juice for the economy when it needs it. And this would mean for the average worker a 7.5% increase in their paycheck. And by the way, you could put this in the paycheck starting August 1st. So it goes right in the paycheck. It's very efficient. And employers, by the way, would benefit too, especially small business employers, because they would no longer have 7.5% of their payroll, going to Washington. So it would provide more money for small businesses. Now, there's some opposition on Capitol Hill to this, but I think it's looking more and more likely that we're going to have some kind of payroll tax cut in this next round of stimulus.
The biggest criticism of this from Democrats is the long-term impact that such a payroll tax cut would have on the Social Security system. What's your response to that?
It doesn't have any. It has zero impact on the Social Security system because the policy that we're promoting and any policy that would cut the payroll tax would simply replace that money with income tax revenues and other revenues that's lost into the trust fund. So the trust funds would be completely unaffected. By the way, we had a small payroll tax cut under Barack Obama, and we did exactly the same thing. We replaced the revenues that were lost by other federal revenues. And it's strange to me that liberals didn't have an objection to that when Obama did it. But now that Donald Trump wants to do it, they seem to think it's going to blow a hole in this. Let me be very, very clear. There will be no reduction in anyone's Social Security benefits as a result of this.
House Democrats passed the HEROES Act in May, which did include extending the current expansion of unemployment benefits. This has been a big point of contention during these current negotiations. Democrats pushing to keep the full amount of $600. Senator Rob Portman saying today Republicans in the White House would agree to keep a lower amount. How do you think this will play out?
So this may be the single most important thing. What we told the White House this week is if we extend this $600 a week unemployment benefit, look, we all want a safety net for people who've lost their job. That's not the issue here. It's whether or not it makes any sense from a point of view of good economics or just fairness for someone who is not working to make twice as much money, as is in the case in a lot of states, as twice as much money as the person who is working. I mean, that's just craziness. I think everyone would say, well, how is that fair? So that, you're not going to get people back to work if they can make twice as much for not working. So what we want to do is reduce that amount to maybe 70% of their pay that they got before. And that would be very generous to workers, but it would also provide an incentive to workers to get back on the job. This is also a really important point. If you talk to small businessmen and women around the country, from California to Maine, and you ask them, what's your biggest problem right now? They say they can't get the workers back on the job because they're making so much more money with these government checks.
We're getting deeper into earnings season here, and this is giving a look at the real impact of the pandemic for businesses at the height. Most of these results, though, are, of course, already baked into the market. What are investors and economists looking to see in the outlook from these companies as they report?
First of all, the industries are kind of all over the map right now. I mean, the airlines, I just saw you had a little segment on the airlines. They're getting really killed. I was in Chicago yesterday. I flew back to Washington, D.C. I think there were only about 20 people on the plane, and that's pretty typical. So these airlines are losing a lot of money. But you do see some nice recovery in industries like factory orders have been good. Industrial production has been pretty good. You're seeing, good numbers. Housing numbers have been spectacularly good. The real estate market, especially for residential, commercial, not so well. The stock market's pretty high right now. I wouldn't be buying stocks right now. I think that the stock market may have run a little bit ahead of itself. But you're right. The stock market's kind of the forward-looking indicator. And right now, boy, investors seem to be pretty happy with the recovery so far. I expect that it's going to be a little rockier going ahead. We saw two really good months of rehiring, but now that we've seen coronavirus cases rising a little bit and some more shutdowns, I think we could have a rocky road in the next couple of months. And then we go into the fall, and that's the critical period, obviously, with respect to not just earnings and stocks, but also, the political environment, because obviously Trump wants to be running for re-election with people feeling good about the economy. And right now, this gets back to our whole point about this phase 4 deal. My feeling is if it's a good deal and it does positive things to the economy, like the payroll tax cut, we could have a really strong economy in the fall. If we do it wrong and we keep the unemployment benefits high and just provide all this money for states and cities, I think it could be a real rocky road.
All right, economist Stephen Moore joining us to discuss the next coronavirus stimulus bill. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Steve.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.